You're listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with John Hicks.
Here with John Hicks, I'm Jennifer Perry. This is a retirement podcast, yes, but it's not like any other financial show that you're listening to. So if you like us, subscribe to the podcast and leave us a 5-star review. Let us know what you think. You can always weigh in with your questions, too, at retirementsolutionradio.com. Perhaps we'll get to some Christmas music later today, but honestly, I'm almost Christmased out.
See, it's what happens when it starts the day after Halloween. And,
right.
and the thing of it is, that time of year, I kind of do want to hear a little bit of it. But I'll tell you, this is the only time of the year that I end up listening to Nat King Cole and Johnny Mathis, some Elvis stuff. I mean, and I'm at the point now where just the age of some of those, they're great to listen to for a little bit, but it's kind of like, yeah. The kids are even like, Dad, I can't listen to Jimmy Durante's version of Frosty the Snowman one more time. I'm like, I know, guys, I know, but we just, we got to stick with it here.
Yes, and try to enjoy the holidays and this last-minute rush. Be nice to each other out while you're out shopping this weekend. And if you're out shopping and listening to us, remember...
Why do you say that? Did you remember the story where I said that some grandma basically shot through me like a linebacker the other day in Sam's Club? I don't even remember what I had in my hand.
Oh, no.
It wasn't much. It was nothing of consequence. But I mean, there was probably I don't know, she could have been a client, like a 70-year-old lady who just came through like a Dick Butkus, busting through, and I shot these candies out of my hand. Or whatever it was.
Oh, my goodness.
And I just thought to myself, man, she either had to get to the bathroom or there was a sale around the corner that I was not aware of.
Right? I would have followed her just to see what the rush was about. But, people are crazy this time of year. But in the midst of the craziness, right now we're watching what's kind of turned out to be a crazy market this December, too. More rocky days. We hit all-time highs again recently, too, John. It makes you wonder, okay, where are we headed next? So Goldman Sachs last week issued some words of caution for investors who were, trying to jump in and buy some of the recent dips. They say that this volatility still has some room to run here, and their risk gauges aren't flashing any buy signals just yet. But how are you approaching this? Are you surprised by how up and down it's been so far this month?
Well, I mean, a little bit, yes. When you look at everything over the whole year, I mean, the market's kind of been on a tear. Mm-hmm. What the sad part of that, though, is the only things that have basically gone up on the year have been equities. Bonds have lost money, a lot of them. Treasuries, if they weren't inflation protected, have lost money. Gold has lost money. Silver's lost money. I mean, basically, if you haven't been in the equity game, then unfortunately you may not have made a whole bunch of money. But the risk there is just so tremendous right now. Mm-hmm. So I think I was a little surprised to see how much the market has gone up. But, to see this turbulence, if you will, in December, maybe it's just overdue. Maybe we've just kind of kicked the can down here to where typically we would have a Santa Claus rally, right?
Right.
Something about the holiday time, in the United States, where typically people are a little more uplifted, even if they do get Dick Butt-kissed in Sam's Club. For whatever reason, typically the markets do pretty well. But maybe it's all those slow boats from China. Maybe we don't have all the package handlers. Maybe people can't find the stuff they're looking for. Mm-hmm. And you combine all of that with the high inflation numbers, that everyone keeps talking about. And then, of course, the market's just kind of expensive. Maybe we're in store for this for a good bit more period of time, though, Jennifer. And that's what kind of makes me a little nervous. So when Goldman Sachs came out with this, I don't know, it's not a warning really so much as it's just, hey, letting people know, hey, don't necessarily buy the dips right now because this could last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. We're not really telling anyone to buy these current dips, just in the event that we have more of them. I know I've probably talked about this for the past 4, 5, 6 weeks in a row. When you look at how expensive the market is, some really smart, needle-headed guys in academia think it's about 50%. The market is about 50% more expensive than the long-term averages. Guys, that's a long way to fall if we're thinking about retirement. So I don't know if I would. I don't know if I'd say, hey, be careful, don't put any new money in. Of course, our 401ks, we want to get those matches. But this might be the time to do some profit rotation, Jennifer.
Yeah, and you've been talking about this for a while, too, especially in a year like this when chances are you have some losers within your portfolio. Let's take a look at that, or that dead money that you talk about, John.
Yeah.
It's a great time to evaluate that.
I mean, even in my own portfolio, and I'm not saying anyone should buy or sell this stuff, but I was looking at one of my positions, NVIDIA. I mean, since I've gotten that sucker, it's up over 450%. But it's down about 20% in the last couple weeks. And I thought, man, You know, I've been saying it myself all this time. You know, bulls and bears make money, but pigs get slaughtered. Is it time to take some money off the table? And this week I actually did a little bit of exactly that. And I'm doing profit rotation in my own portfolio. So I know sometimes it feels weird to sell a winner, but this is exactly the reason why. We want to get the emotions out of the way and just recognize, man, I did really great in that position. Let's see if we can't find something that maybe has taken a hit here recently and rotate those profits. So over the long term, we can always be buying at a better price.
You know, it's interesting listening to Goldman Sachs and how they're approaching things and how they're watching their own signals. What kinds of signals do you watch out for, though, John, as you're making those decisions about when to get into certain positions and maybe more importantly, sometimes when to get out?
Yeah, that's probably one of the tougher things. You know, I think a lot of people, if you see a company out there you really like, and if it's been beaten up, it's not so tough to say, I'm going to buy a few shares of that. The question is, when do we get out? When do we take the profits off? When do we do that profit rotation?
Yeah.
Which is probably why most of the time I say, hey, we should probably be talking to a skilled fiduciary advisor to help walk us through some of that stuff. Because some of the stuff that I'm looking at, Jennifer, it gets pretty nerdy. I mean, it gets pretty technical. I mean, this time of year, you know, I always tell folks, you know, we're talking about, you know, the three wise men. In our situation, though, and what I'm telling people about when we're talking about technical analysis of their stocks, the three wise men stands for basically three different technical measurements we can use to find out, hey, is this a good time to be in the market or is it a good time to sell a position? And so the three wise men that we talk about, and again, I told you I'm going to get nerdy here for a second, but we're talking about relative strength, moving averages, and MACD, which is moving average convergence divergence.
That's a mouthful right there.
He's like, listen, John, that right there sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook right there. I don't know what you're talking about. You said three wise men, and you had me all the ears, man. I was wanting to hear that great story, and here you talk about this nonsense stuff. And that's exactly what it seems like. But amazingly enough, I really do pour over some of that stuff when the timing is right, because sometimes it's a really good signal. And the reason we call it the three wise men is that if all three of those signals kind of line up, it's kind of like how the wise men saw that bright star and followed it. And sometimes this light, it glows red, which means stop, get away, don't go that way. It's a bad way. And other times it glows green, which means, hey, you know, this is a good direction to go. Let's keep going this way. So that's why we call it the three wise men. When they're all three in concert, when they all three see a similar thing, it might mean we either keep that position or buy a little bit more of the market or bonds or whatever we're analyzing. On the other side, if it's glowing red, we maybe want to take a little bit of risk off the table. That's when we definitely want to consider that profit rotation. And Jennifer, this time of year, there are a few things where those three wise men are seeing some red, which is why I say this might be a good time to consider some profit rotation.
Like what you hear? Be sure to hit the subscribe button. And thanks for listening to The Retirement Solution with John Hicks.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. J. Hagan Capital is a registered investment advisor. To find out if John Hicks is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal advice. Annuity guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products and annuities offered through John Hicks. Kentucky Insurance License Number 998827.